I spent 3 days organizing my MIL's birthday party. Then my husband insulted me in front of 24 people. He said, "She's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but she makes a decent roast." I didn't cry. I handed them this. They looked at it and started screaming. If you ever get the bright idea to throw your mother-in-law a 65th birthday party at your house, don't. Seriously. Drink some water, lie down, call someone. Preferably a mental health professional. I'm not kidding. It's basically inviting a tornado into your home and then vacuuming the ceiling while the tornado lounges in your armchair, selecting napkins based on color aura. Gloria, my mother-in-law, wanted something intimate and cozy. You know what cozy means? It means 24 people show up to your house, half of them don't take their shoes off, and you do everything. Cooking, decorating, ironing tablecloths, blowing up balloons, chopping fruit, scrubbing toilets, baking 3 types of pie, then cleaning up the chaos in between. A party, right? Of course we couldn't just do it at a restaurant. That's cold and impersonal, Gloria said. At home, it's warm and deeply humiliating, especially when you're not the guest of honor, just the unpaid staff. I hadn't slept properly in 3 days, just trying to get everything done. I handled everything. Every single thing. Decorations? Me. Photo backdrop with handcrafted paper flowers? Also me. Cutting and gluing until 2 a.m. because store-bought looks soulless. Thank you, Gloria. Your daughter-in-law is now immortal. On the special day, I got up at 6. Fried bacon, prepped cheese trays, wiped muddy footprints off the carpet. By the time guests started showing up around 3 p.m., I hadn't even had time to eat. I curled my hair in 5 minutes and threw on a clean top. That was my whole glow-up. When the first guests arrived, Gloria welcomed them like the house had cleaned and decorated itself. She glanced at my shirt and went, "You didn't change?" I just nodded. Didn't mention I hadn't had a second to breathe. Then her brother arrived with his girlfriend, who looked like she was maybe a week older than his granddaughter. She gave my sneakers a once-over and said, "So, are you the caterer?" I smiled. Almost said, "Sure, and if you'd like to avoid food poisoning, maybe skip the attitude." But I held it in. Christopher, my husband, or whatever we're calling him these days, was standing next to me. He chuckled. "She's my wife, just in character." Character, yeah, like I was method acting my way through the role of live-in maid. Christopher, in case you missed it, is the husband, technically. Functionally, he's a grown man who runs on Gloria OS. She says, "Buy champagne?" He buys a case. I say, "We can't afford heating this month," and he shrugs. The party slowly turned into a farce. People drank, they clapped, they praised Gloria like she'd won the Nobel Prize for domestic military leadership. Meanwhile, I ran around with trays. At one point, one of Christopher's distant cousins patted me on the back and said, "Shannon, you're such a gem, so down to earth. It's rare these days, wives who know their place." I almost dropped the tartlets. I wanted to say, "You know what's rare? A paycheck. The rest is just exploitation." But I smiled instead. The real showstopper came, as always, with champagne. Christopher stood up just as I was scrubbing a ketchup stain off the tablecloth his nephew had generously left behind. No one said thank you. Christopher raised his glass. "I'd like to say a few words." The room went quiet. Gloria smiled like she was about to win Best Supporting Mother in a family drama. "Mom, you're the glue that holds this family together. Our rock, our general. Without you, we'd fall apart." So we've got Mom, it was the strategist. Christopher, it was the working man. Me, logistics. Specifically, pies and floor polish. Then he added, "And I'd also like to thank my wife. She's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but she makes a decent roast. Thanks for dinner, Shannon." Laughter. Polite, loud, echoing. Someone even clapped. A neighbor nodded at me like, "Hey, at least she keeps things tidy." I looked at Gloria, beaming. I looked at my husband. He had no idea what he'd just done. And then I did something I didn't even know I was going to do. I set down the tray. Gently, not slammed, not dramatic, just set it down. I stood up, looked at Christopher, then at Gloria. "Thanks," I said. "You made my place in this family very clear. I'll go ahead and define it myself now." And I left. No door slam, no meltdown, no scene. I just walked up the stairs like someone who'd finally decided, I'm not doing this anymore. Behind me, I heard the whispers. Did she just get offended? Must be PMS. Maybe. Or maybe. Apocalypse. They didn't know yet. I went into the bedroom, closed the door, and opened the bottom drawer of the dresser. Under a pile of old scarves and the microwave manual was a folder. Thick plastic. Snap closure. I opened it. Documents. All ready to go. I hadn't wanted to use them. Not yet. I'd been hoping, stupidly maybe, that things could still change. That Christopher might still be reachable. That Gloria was just an old woman who didn't realize how cruel she sounded. That maybe I was just tired. But no, I wasn't tired. They were tired. Of my silence. Time to wake them up a little. The bedroom was quiet. I sat on the edge of the bed, flipping through documents. My weapon, locked and loaded for weeks, just waiting for the right moment. Everything was ready. Had been for a while. But I couldn't exactly pull the trigger right before Gloria's birthday. Too rude. Too dramatic. Too inconvenient. As if that ever stopped anyone, except me. I didn't become the silent housemaid overnight. It took years, tiny compromises, a slow erosion. Once upon a time I had plans. Actual, bullet-pointed, color-coded plans. I was studying accounting and doing pretty well. I liked numbers. At least they didn't yell at you for slicing cucumbers wrong. I didn't leave college because I couldn't handle it. I left because I was in love, stupidly, and believed the phrase, "You can go back later. Focus on the family now." Christopher was very convincing. Older, polished, internship under his belt, car, tie, voice like confidence in human form. I wasn't some naive mess either. I had a good GPA, worked part-time at the library, had plans for grad school. Then came 2 pink lines and his reassuring, "We'll figure it out." He said, "Why finish right now? There'll be another chance." The mythical second chance, that sacred cow all women are taught to believe in when we're asked to give something up. So I left. Just for a while. My parents weren't thrilled. Understatement. My mom said I was rushing everything, Christopher, marriage, baby, quitting school. "You were almost done," she kept saying. "Almost doesn't count," Christopher would reply. They never trusted him. Thought he was too smooth, too quick to take control. I thought they didn't understand. Now they live in Oregon. They call sometimes. They never ask if I'm happy. I think they already know. 18 years went by. Our son was born when I was 22. 3 years later came our daughter. I sank into diapers and nap schedules so deep, I forgot what daylight looked like. At first, I still thought I'd go back to school. Then Gloria said it gently. "You know, kids need a mom, not another diploma." And Christopher added, "You're doing great already. Why stress yourself out?" To him, our home was my office. Except in this office, there was no salary, no time off, and no one noticed the overtime. I was the accountant, the cook, the janitor, the tutor. And then, part-time barista in Christopher's coffee shop. He opened it 4 years into the marriage, said he believed in local businesses. I helped, unofficially of course, managed the books, tracked orders, did the reporting, all unpaid, because we're a family. He called me the heart of the business. The IRS never got the memo. Then Gloria moved in. Her husband died, stroke. Sudden. She said, "Just for a week, until things settle." Biggest lie in the history of temporary stays. Within 2 weeks, she was assigning rooms. A month later, claiming the fridge. 2 months, my daughter. When she first moved in, I gave her the guest room with a garden view. 2 weeks in, she said, "Hope you don't mind if I toss these curtains. They're very community college librarian." And then she tossed them. She never raised her voice. She did damage politely. Everything came wrapped in, "I don't want to offend you, but..." Right before the slap. She'd say to the kids, "Jake's the smart one, definitely takes after his dad. Just don't end up like your mom, sweetheart." Jake would go quiet. Sometimes he looked at me like I was a subpar substitute teacher who got hired by accident. It was worse with our daughter. She's 14, right in the thick of teenage angst and self-doubt. Gloria would lean in and whisper, "You're sharp, sensitive, not like, well, you know." Yeah, I knew, and I said nothing. I told myself it would pass, that the kids would grow up, that Christopher would eventually wake up, that Gloria would calm down. None of that happened. What did happen? I simmered. Year after year, I sat in that pot thinking it was just warm. It was boiling. There's one memory I can't shake. A family photo shoot, Gloria's idea, a Mother's Day gift. Photographer showed up, everyone dressed up. We posed in front of the house. I was adjusting Jake's collar when Gloria said, "Shannon, would you mind stepping out? Let's get one of the family." The photographer froze. "I thought you were—" No, Gloria cut her off. "Just the kids, my son and me, a real family shot." I stepped out, didn't say a word, didn't cry, didn't argue. And I remember thinking, maybe they were right. Maybe it would look better without me. She later printed that photo and hung it in the living room. Sometimes I'd pass by, look at it and think, they didn't just crop me out of the picture, they cut me out of everything. Now I'm sitting with the folder, everything's in order. The house, mine, left to me by my grandmother. Gloria, technically a guest, no lease, no rights. The eviction paperwork, drafted. The divorce, ready to file. College, I'm finishing online, just 2 semesters to go. Also, a draft lawsuit for financial compensation. Because I wasn't just helping out at that cafe. I ran the numbers, managed the staff, took orders, kept it alive. I saved every receipt, every spreadsheet, every schedule, emails with suppliers, weekly reports, all under my name. The lawyer said, this won't count as unpaid labor, but it will count as proof. Proof that the business wasn't just his, and that my value wasn't making pancakes, but actually turning a profit. Yeah, I stayed quiet for years, but silence doesn't mean I forgot how to speak. I've just decided my next words should go through a lawyer. Let Christopher talk to an empty fridge. Let Gloria figure out how to cook a chicken without me. The next morning started like nothing had happened, like no one had said out loud in front of 24 people that I was more housekeeper than wife, like I hadn't stood up from that table and walked out in full view of framed family smiles and matching wine glasses. Like everything was just fine. Gloria was already in her robe, sipping coffee at the kitchen table. Christopher was scrolling through his phone. Neither looked up when I walked in. "Morning," he said. "You were a little intense yesterday. I get it. Long day, lots of emotions. It's fine." I nodded. Oh, it's fine. How generous of him to forgive me for being intense. I grabbed the folder and left the house. First stop, the bank. I opened a new account, just my name on it. Transferred half the money from our joint account, my half. The lawyer said I was well within my rights. I almost laughed. Having rights, what a novelty. Then I went to the lawyer's office. They were expecting me. We signed the updated eviction notice. "Your husband's mother isn't on the lease," the lawyer said. "No rental agreement, no legal standing. 30 days to vacate." I nodded. "And the divorce?" "We file Monday. Are you ready?" "I've been ready. Yesterday just made it official." When I got back, Christopher was still in the kitchen, eating like it was just another Sunday. I walked in, set the folder down slowly on the table. He raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "Divorce papers," I said calmly. "And a notice for your mother. Eviction." "What?" He laughed, like it was cute. "You're seriously doing this? Over a toast?" I stared at him. He smirked. Okay, I crossed a line. Sorry, I was joking." Everyone laughed. He stood up, walked toward me, tried that thing where he reaches for my face. Automatic, like he's clicking on a save gesture. "Don't be mad." I stepped back. "Don't touch me." "Oof, all right." He tensed, still trying to play it off. "Come on, Shannon. We're a family. Sometimes we say dumb stuff. You know that. You've got fire in you. That's what I've always liked." "Yeah," I said. "And that's exactly why I'm doing this." I opened the folder, pulled out the papers. "Divorce, and a formal notice to vacate, for your mom." He blinked. "The house is mine. I double-checked, deeds clean. It was left to me by my grandmother. You're holding the proof." He laughed again, nervous this time. "Shannon, come on. You're really gonna blow everything up over one dumb joke?" I took a step back. It's not about the toast. It's about 18 years of being invisible, of working like a full-time maid without pay and hearing "don't get smart" every time I had a thought. It's about you, Chris, becoming a husband but never outgrowing your mommy. It's about your mother living in my house, eating my food, throwing away my things and reminding me every day that I was a mistake. It's about our son answering me with whatever because he learned from you how little I matter. Right on cue, Gloria walked in. What's going on in here? It's not a scene, I said. It's the finale. Curtains coming down. Time for your exit. Chris exhaled. You can't just throw us out. This is our home. No, I said, it's my home. The deed says so. It was gifted to me. The papers are right there. Go ahead, read them. Gloria moved closer. Shannon, you've always been emotional. We've been very patient with you. I laughed. You were patient? No, Gloria, I was patient. With your tone, your little digs, you never finished college, you probably wouldn't understand. Your side chats with the kids. Your family photos where I was mysteriously absent, remember? Don't photograph the help. That was a joke, she snapped. To you, everything's a joke because you're never the punchline. That ends now. Chris started to boil over. Okay, fine. Let's be real. You think you can actually live on your own? Absolutely, I said. Without your constant judgment, your condescension, your control, I'll be great. You're nobody, he snapped. It cracked out of him, raw, nasty, desperate. And there it was, all the rot finally out in the open. Where are you gonna go, huh? 2 kids, no degree, no job. What do you even do? Who the hell's gonna hire you? Can you even write a resume? I already did, I said. I pulled out another folder. This has everything. Menus, invoices, emails, shift schedules. You took pictures for Instagram. I did everything else. My lawyer says it won't count as unpaid labor, but it will count as contribution. You opened the cafe. I kept it from falling apart. For free. You're insane, he shouted. You're suing me? I'm leaving prison, Chris. That's what this is, not revenge. Release. I'm done trying to earn basic respect in my own home. You and your mom got used to me being quiet, being convenient. But I'm not furniture. I'm not part of the decor. Gloria was shaking now, too angry to hide it. You ungrateful brat. We gave you everything, a roof, a son. You gave me? I scoffed. This is my house, my kids, my life. All you two did was leech off it. I handed her the eviction notice. You've got 30 days. I can even help you find boxes, same ones I used to store what was left of my self-worth. She went pale. I'm not leaving. The law says otherwise. This is nonsense. Christopher slammed his fist against the table. You think a judge is going to buy this crap? You never even had a real job. We'll see, I said. Then I turned and walked to the kids' rooms. This house had the soundproofing of a cardboard box. I found Sarah on the floor, surrounded by markers, journals, bits of tape. Her world was full of stickers, hand lettering, bullet journaling, and imaginary spaces where moms didn't get scolded for how they walked. I sat next to her. You've been crying, she said. Nope. She nodded like she didn't believe me. Smart kid. We're leaving, I said. You and me and your brother. Leaving as in forever? Leaving as in never sharing a roof with Grandma again. She'll be out in 30 days. She nodded slowly. What about Dad? He's staying with her. They're a great match. She gives orders. He obeys. And us? We're on our own now. The house is mine, but I'm leaving it. For now, until they're both gone. I paused. I rented an apartment. Small. No bronze vases. No passive-aggressive remarks. And no tone. Dad says you don't have a job. That you won't make it. I will. I've nearly finished college. I re-enrolled. I'm already accepted. I've got everything I need. I just forgot for a long time that I was capable. Sarah glanced down at her journal. In the new apartment, can I hang my drawings outside my room? You can put them on the ceiling if you want, as long as there's no Gloria with a frame and a speech about how it's uncultured. She smiled, for the first time that day. Jake was trickier. He wasn't big on talking, not because he didn't care, just principles, nonfiction reader, acts like he knows everything, gamer, thinker, quiet, stubborn as hell. He walked in while we were packing boxes. What's going on? We're moving. He nodded like it was the most normal thing in the world. Divorce? Yeah. Because of yesterday? I set the roll of tape on top of a box. Because of the last 18 years. He leaned against the wall, hands in his pockets. Dad said you're breaking the family. Dad spent his whole life quiet while I was being broken. I'm just not letting it happen anymore. He exhaled. The kind of breath you take when you realize you'll have to start thinking for yourself. What if I don't want to leave? That's your choice. I'm not here to guilt you. But you want me to come with you? Of course I do. I just don't want you doing it on autopilot and then turning into him. He looked at me. You gonna be okay? I already am. We'll have a small place, nothing fancy, but you'll be able to eat pizza without commentary from Grandma. That's already a win. Pause. Can I bring my guitar? As long as you don't play at 3 a.m., go for it. He nodded. Then let's go. We left that night. The apartment was quiet, 2 bedrooms, and a key that only I had. When I turned the lock behind me, it was the first time in years that the silence didn't feel like punishment. No instructions, no suggestions, no, you're home anyway, might as well. I walked across the room, set the box down, kicked off my shoes, and sat. I gave them 18 years. They gave me sarcasm, leftovers, and public toasts about how I was just the help. Great trade, but the deal's off. About a week after we moved out, I realized something. For the first time in 18 years, no one was telling me how to do basic things. No one asked, where are Christopher's socks? No one hissed, you left hair in the sink again. No one hung their rules all over the house like dish towels. It wasn't dramatic, no fireworks, no applause, just silence. Freedom in lowercase. Sarah spent more time drawing. She didn't hide her sketches anymore. Didn't ask if something was appropriate. One day she asked if she could hang her posters on the hallway door. I just nodded. The next day there was a note on the door in marker. A person lives here, not a project for someone's mom. Jake didn't say much, but one morning he set an alarm for my online class, just in case I overslept. Walked past me and mumbled, "You've got a lecture at 10. Then kept walking. No hug, no eye contact. But he knew, and I noticed. 3 weeks in, I got the first letter from the court. Dry, clinical, hearing date, a list of claims, a note from my lawyer. Please gather more documentation showing your involvement in the business. I smiled. Everything was already in folders, color-coded, labeled, backed up. What they once called obsessive housewife behavior was now being called evidence. I sent in schedules, emails, inventory logs. My lawyer forwarded me a screenshot of a message from Christopher's attorney. She seriously thinks she has a claim to the business? I mentally raised a glass of $8 wine. No, Chris, I don't think. I prove. I heard about the cafe from other people. A former barista messaged me. Is it true you left? Yup. Total chaos here. We're sourcing supplies ourselves. Customers are pissed. Chris had me running orders and I cried in the walk-in. I didn't answer right away. A few days later, she wrote again. They shut the cafe down for 2 days. Technical issues. And then, a regular came in and said, "This place feels like a cafeteria without Mom." I walked past it once. The closed for maintenance sign was still up. It was a Wednesday, lunchtime. There used to be a line out the door. I almost felt bad. Almost. Court was dull. I sat in a buttoned-up blouse, hair pulled back. Christopher tried to look composed. His lawyer said, "She wasn't officially employed, not on payroll, no compensation." My attorney laid out the papers. "Your Honor, here she is in the weekly schedule. Here's the supplier email, customer correspondence, purchase logs, all signed by her." "She was a spouse, not an employee," Christopher's lawyer mumbled. "She was the engine," mine said. "No title, all responsibility, 0 pay." The judge nodded. "That's called contribution. It factors into the division." And that's when it hit me. All the sleepless nights with a calculator. The breakdowns in the storage closet. The customers yelling while Christopher worked on branding. None of it was wasted energy. It was equity. Mid-April, I got a letter from the court officer. The property has been vacated and inspected. Keys returned. On the kitchen table, a handwritten note, no signature. "You destroyed this family." I folded it up and slid it into a drawer. Not out of anger, just as a reminder. No, I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped pretending that their staged little set was a home. We came back in May. The house was clean, quiet, no more glorious tablecloth, no more family portraits without me, no more shoes in the hallway that weren't mine, empty, and finally mine. I walked through the rooms, the bedroom, silent, the kitchen, bare shelves. There was still a magnet on the fridge, the cafe logo. I took it down and tossed it. Not out of spite, just done with it. At the end of the month, I was coming back from grocery shopping, regular Friday, and there he was, Christopher, sitting on the porch, rumpled shirt, bag full of papers. "You happy now?" he asked. No greeting. "Not really," I said. "But I'm at peace." He stood up. "You took everything, the house, the money, the kids." "I didn't take anything. I defended what was mine. There's a difference." "You made me a joke." "No, you did that. I just stopped playing the supporting role." He stepped closer. That old voice came back, fake sweet with venom in the cracks. "You're not even pretty, you know." I said nothing. "You were just convenient, that's it." I smiled. "See? You still think I was for something, but I'm not a function, Chris. I'm a person." He clenched his jaw. "I hope you rot in your boring little accounting job. I hope one day you realize accounting means order. And you've always been chaos dressed up like charm." I walked past him, didn't look back. He didn't call after me. Maybe he finally got it. 6 months later, I finished my degree, 2 semesters online, crammed into half a year. Totally doable, if you've got 18 years of rage and decent Wi-Fi. Bachelor's in accounting, not for the diploma, for the ownership, for being able to say, this is mine now, got a job. Not glamorous, but mine. No one says you just stay home anymore. Every time I click my pen and get to work, I know I'm here because I chose to be, not because it was expected, because I can. Sarah draws, smiles, reads fanfic. Jake signed up for coding classes on his own, said, "It's time I started doing something real." I said, "Agreed, let's start there." Our fridge doesn't have Gloria's recipe magnets anymore, just a list of movies we want to watch together. Top of the list, Inception, fitting. I didn't leave. I stepped out of their script, out of their lines, out of their family, and wrote my own. Now it's your turn. Did I do the right thing? Would you have done it differently? Tell me in the comments about this story, about these kinds of husbands, these kinds of mothers. And if this hit home for you, hit subscribe. Maybe that means I told it the right way.